Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wa rabbil alameen. As-salatu salam ala rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Salamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh. Lil ikhwani fati fi din. Salamu ala mani taba huda. Lil ikhwani fati fi Afrika, Europa, America, wa Caribbean, wa kuli makan. Anjarama wa salam, my full-bay community. I'm hoping all the brothers and sisters that you're doing well today. And let's give a shout out here to some who come. This is a short notice, and but this is a very important talk. Thank you, my dear brother, for showing up today, and I really appreciate that very much. Thank you very much, African royalty. Thank you very much for showing up. I really appreciate that, my dear brothers. Thank you very much. This is a short notice, but again, this is a very important talk because this here we're talking about an issue that nobody talks about, and we have the Fulani people. Our brothers and sisters are dying in Sudan under the banner of being Sudanese. And I've talked about Sudan about a year ago. I gave you the complexities of Sudan, what makes Sudan so unique and whatnot and so on. And I gave you that history, and I won't get really deep into that again because we cannot do this by just 4 or 5 minutes. Walaikum salam rahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, my dear sister, for showing up today. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And Sudan has been weighing heavy on my mind because we have so much information about what's going on in Gaza, which rightfully so, but nothing has been generated about in Sudan. And we have to ask why that is. And a lot of it, I believe, is a racial component because it's in Africa and the people are black. Bottom line, as black killing black and so forth, those who are suffering are black people. They're black African people. And they're, even though they have their ethnic names, but they're still black African people. They still have the DNA set that's running EM or LO or there's a couple others. They still have that set. So they're black Africans originating out from, we know, from the ancient kingdoms of Kemt and we know in Kush. But I'm going to get a little bit into that because I want to make sure we understand something. Before we had the names that we have today in Sudan, Sudan means black in Arabic language. It's a derivative of the word soda and so forth and so on in Arabic language. If you understand Arabic language, you understand what I mean about we have derivatives of this. But Sudan has to do with black people. You heard me say this many times before. We know some of our famous Fulani scholars in Timbuktu used also had to take their name like Ahmed Baba al-Sudani al-Fulani. Sudani meaning I'm a black man. And so the people of this region at this time took the name Sudan when they broke up, and broke up the East Africa, and they began to use ethnic terms, and this term was Sudan, which means black. So I wanted to get that out to you. Plus, I wanted to also share something else with you about this term. Now, we have to understand something too. Before we know Sudan as it was in ancient times, 4,000, 5,000 years ago, we know our brothers in Kempt who were further north from them, they called the region of we call today Sudan. At that time it was called Kush. That was another name for it. But we know the ancient Kemetic people, Meheneher, we had names of Ta Seti, meaning the people, the land of the bull. Ta means the land, or also could mean something about the people as well. And they called it Ta Seti. This is the name of ancient Sudan proper as we understand it today. Also, the other name, which comes from my ancestral background, is Ka Shah. Ka, again, as you heard me talk about many times, is very important, deep religious meaning that the ancient Egyptians had, and our brothers from this region of Taseti, Kasha, or Tasha, had this concept, meaning, again, tying in the body of the soul, that with those in the heavens. And I gave you a big class on that. I won't delve deep into this, but the Ka is actually the religion, meaning the oneness of what Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and you on this earth, you do everything you can to marry the souls that's here, the Kara, which is the soul, and the burial of the soul here on earth, and then the Ka that's in the heavens. So they marry up. This is the complexity of what's happening in Sudan, and this is the ancient names for it. I wanted to get that understood, because you'll hear names like Cush and so forth and so on. Those names are okay because this is the names that are used by all historians and so forth. But those who understand the linguistics, going deeper back into it, they also use these names Taseti, Kasha, and Tasha. This is the name. Those are beautiful names, brothers. Anyway, I talked about this in my last course. All my young brothers and sisters who are sitting in the Caribbean and Americas, you young, you still having children, please pick up some of these African names. Please, brothers and sisters, start naming your children these beautiful names like this. Stop picking these names that have no meaning at all, or after the Tubab. This is not a racial thing. But why? How many Tubab are naming their children after our ancestors? None. So why are you naming your people after them? See, you have to understand that. You have to look at this logically. And we have beautiful names. You give a boy by the name Taseti. This is a beautiful name. Or Kasha. You can give a girl the name Kasha or Tasha. See? So these are beautiful names that we know in Sudan. Now, let's get started on this. Brothers and sisters, the tragedy in Sudan, and I have to start something, talk about the kings, pharaohs, the Pharaoh, we understand, and Meteneher of ancient Kemt, ancient Taseti. They were black folk. Let's get that out again. We want to make sure that everybody understands that we're talking about black people, because we have these names, Kemet and so forth and so on, meaning black. I mean, I gave you the course about this. Kim, oh, come on now, I'm talking too fast. Kim Yutu, yes, meaning the black people. I gave you a course on this. So we had the ancient times, we had, kings and pharaohs and so forth and so on, and they were black. They were black then until about the 27th dynasty, especially in Kemp. And then, of course, they start to mix, and then we had the big exodus, and this is how we came up with West Africa. The West Africans were descendants from the ancient Egyptians when they made the exodus from ancient Egypt, which is Kemp, and they came to Nigeria, Niger, Togo, all of these areas, Senegal, Mali, Mauritania, Maghreb, Morocco, all that. They came from ancient Egypt. And then also we know they came out of Taseti, which is, we know, again, is Kush, and so forth and so on. So let's get that part of it out. Now, brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. You Muslims, please make your prayers and dua for our sisters and brothers, not only in Gaza, but you have somebody to write home that's right next to you, especially those brothers and sisters sitting in Nigeria. You're right around the corner from Sudan, right around the corner. And the Sudanese people, we have a large mixture of Fulani people. Today in Sudan, you do not know who is actually Fulani anymore. Now, the recent rivals who came about 100 years ago, they still have this kind of separate communities. They still hang on to the term Falasha, or Falasha. This is the names that they use to describe the Fulani people. But today, you do not know who's Fulani or not. But part of this war has been designated because we want to find out who is Arab and not, who is real Sudani or not. And you heard my class, the RSF, who are battling with the government forces, the RSF, are made up of a lot of Fulani people. I told you about this before. And this is why when the disagreement between the government and they were called at this time Janjaweed, which is a very, very derogatory term, meaning the devil of the jinn, the evil jinn on a horse. So the government was using them, the RSF, who are a mixture of Fulani, also of Arabs. Okay, they were also called Fulani Arabs. There's a Fulani Sudanese, and so forth and so on. They had these names, but when they were needed by the government to mop up some areas, especially to the south and to the east, they used the people at that time they called Janjaweed. Then, when the breakup occurred, and then when you had the insurrection in Sudan, right? Then the RSF became RSF, which are Fulani based. Their stock is Fulani, also Shawa Arabs, their mixture. Suddenly, the government said, you cannot take over the country, you cannot rule in the country because you are not a real Arab. This is the premise of what has happened, how this came about. The RSF, who are Fulani, are descendants of our brothers from the Caliphate or the Sultanate of our ancient brother, Usman Den Fodio. You have thousands upon thousands of Mujahideen fighters from northern Nigeria, from the emirate of our esteemed ancient brother, ancestral great brother, Usman Den Fodio, and they traveled to Sudan for jihad. That's how they ended up in this region. They became Sudanese people. They became Fulani Arabs. See, these are things, again, you have to understand in this history about this. I'm giving to you. You're not going to read too much about this. I was in Sudan 2008, 2009. I told you the story, what's happened there. And I couldn't tell when the man who was assisting me, he was telling me, he said, hey, I forgot, do you know who's Sudani here? I said, no. He said, this girl here, she's from Habasha, which is Ethiopia. He said, this one she's Fulani. Her parents are actually Fulani. I looked at them. I couldn't tell who was who. I couldn't tell who was from Habasha. I couldn't tell who was Fulani. See, I couldn't tell. And I told you about the craziness of color. Everybody's black, but there's some people who we call the blue and green blacks, which are from the east and from the south, who are the original inhabitants of this region, right? Of Tasseti, which we know is Kush, ancient times, but I'm going to use the names that was given at that time, Tasseti or Kasha. This region, they were there first. And then, of course, then you had the migrations and so forth and so on, and the mixing went on. So anyway, brothers and sisters, the government forces are made up of some from the Fulani, but they are from the old guard families who consider themselves to be Arabs, Sudanese Arabs. And they have a lot of their Qaba'ils, which we understand in the Arabic language, meaning the ethnic groups. There's many who are tied into this. They said they should be the running of the government, and they should be the ones who take over the government after the insurrection. Our brothers, the RSF, who Fulani based, they said, no, that's not true. But the government said that you, brother, you are not a real Arab. You're not really Sudani because your daddy and your mommy came from Nigeria and they're Fulani. This is the basis of that. So they start to fight. This is why if you notice the names of many of the people from RSF, you find Fulani names in there and even nicknames. You heard me talk about this. I won't get deeper into that as well. But you heard me talk about this in another class about Sudan. It's a fascinating, fascinating situation. But it's tragic as we speak now. I'm giving that history so you can go back and think about this. When you go pull up the information on Sudan, you'll have the background. You'll get generic information. You'll get even false information about Sudan. I'm giving it to you real. I was there. And I'm telling you now as a black man, as a Fulani. I was there. I know exactly the complexities of how Sudan. I told you before, there are people darker than me, and we're Black Africans, all of us. But they said, no, you can't marry this girl over here because she's a green black or she's a blue black. You know, this is how it is. They say you got to marry somebody because your people, the Shabaka people, came from the East. This is the complexities, brothers and sisters. Okay. So a lot of the people from the East and from the West are Fulani based. If you look at the people in Port Sudan, they look a lot like me, my same coloring and so forth and so on. So when they heard my name, they said, no, you can't marry the people from the South. Even though they're Muslims, this is how silly it is. They said, but you can marry those to the East because the Shabaka people came from the North and to the Northeast. That's where you should get a bride. I was talking to them in generalization about who I can marry, who I couldn't marry. This is how complex Sudan has always been, brothers and sisters. Very, very complex. Very, very complex about the ethnic composite of the country, which has led to the conflict. When we look at this map, this should give you indication, brothers and sisters. You see Port Sudan. Port Sudan over here to your right is again, a lot of the people that came out from Tasseti as well, but they are people who have mixed, you know, in the history and so forth and so on. You have people who look a lot like me, and you have a lot of people who are Fulani based and so forth and so on. And then you got over here to your left hand, which is, you see Darfur in the bottom. They caught hell. They've been catching hell because they are the home of the real, you know, what you call the real Sudan people, the real Tasseti people, because they're jet black in color. I told you, some got a blue tinge to their skin, others got a green tinge to their skin. And the RSF has been killing them because as the Fulani-based people have come to live there, they have been in conflict ever since. They have peace and then they start killing again. And now they're starting to kill and rape the women. This has been alleged and so forth. The people of Darfur are saying that the RSF, the Fulanis, the Fulani people who are running this, along with the Shawa, and then there's the Hawa people. All of these people are mixed with the Fulani. And so they are massacring them again and allegedly taking the women and raping them. This is alleged. Let me see. We got my dear cousin here. How you doing, my dear cousin? Thank you very much. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi. Thank you, my dear cousin, for showing up. Appreciate that very much, my dear cousin. So anyway, I show you a map so you have an indication on what's going on. And Khartoum right now is being half divided by the government forces and by the government and by the RSF fighters and so forth and so on. So now you have that kind of backdrop for you to get that understanding. But brothers and sisters, we have a trail of tears and so forth that is out of this world. Okay, we have a crisis there. I was also read an article about, now it's exposed. We have hundreds and hundreds per day of Sudan women, our sisters, who are now been transported to Cairo and Alexandria. They're having babies because they have been victims of sexual assault. The military, in this part, mostly the military, the government forces have been inflicting, using sexual assault as a weapon against their old enemies. Now, let me get you to understand something again. Remember, I told you this. The Fulani-based RSF, they don't rape and assault others who are related to them in this sense. You see, the government forces do not rape or assault and kill those who are related to them as far as village loyalties. You see, so each one is taking hold of the other. But both of the groups, the government forces and the RSF, don't like the brothers in the Darfur region. Why? Because they are the original inhabitants of the land, and they are the original people of Tasseti or Kasha or Tasha. They are the real real inhabitants of this region, and they're jet black in color, as described by Herodias when he visited this region. He talked about this, about the blackness of the skin. And if you look at the murals, you always find the people from Tasseti very, very dark, much darker than those of Kempt or Egypt. Very, 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 very interesting. So we have this aspect, brothers and sisters. And here we have Fulani mixed Arabs. We call Fulani Arabs, and a lot of them are to the west, to the north, and so forth and so on. We have this mixture. They are being killed. If the government forces come across these people, they start to ask them questions about who is your daddy, what is your name, so forth and so on. They know that they are RSF, or meaning they are part of the Fulani base of Falacia people or Falata people, and they kill them and their children. They don't spare them. And if they don't, they'll take a beautiful Fulani sister like this, who's mixed, yes, with Arab as well, okay? And they'll take her, and she is the one producing children now illegitimately, because the government forces will take her, sexually assault her. She'll get pregnant. They'll keep her for months until she's pregnant, and then they cast them aside. And now this type of sister here is having babies in Egypt from, she doesn't know who the father is because she's ravaged. And this is a very, very troubling situation. And we have also, again, brothers and sisters, we have the Fulani base, Sudanese people, our brothers and sisters, and whatnot. And this is a big, big tragedy, brothers and sisters, big tragedy. And I'm just so, it pains me because I have family there and I lived there for a while and I know how it was and so forth. I saw the country at its best at this time, but the brothers kept telling me, he said, there's winds of change that's taking place. They started to tell me this, and they started to tell me that they feared that their country, they will lose their country, and they finally did lose the country. When I was there in 2008, 2009, brothers and sisters, they had so much food, and because of the United States meddling, and they put a terrorist label on Sudan, right? The brothers, their Muslim brothers in North Africa could not take this food. You're talking about wheat, you're talking about flour, fish, you talk about root crops. They had so much. So Black African countries were the recipient of all of this food that was growing off the Nile, okay? It was so rich. And I told you about how I ate the fish there, how I drink the water there, the bread from the corn. They had so much food, that food disappeared. And that's another story about, I won't get into governance because we talk about Sharia law. We don't need to talk about that. This is not the time for it. But brothers and sisters, this is a tragedy. We have girls like this that are suffering, brothers and sisters, and many of them have been killed or they're carrying a child. They don't even know who the father is. Only thing they know is that their father was the government forces. When they took them, they gang sexually assault them, okay, and ravage them, and until they're, pregnant, and then, so this is going on, and nobody is talking about our sisters there in Sudan, and the tears and the pain that they're suffering, brothers and sisters, is off this chart, okay? And nobody talks about that as though this thing don't exist. And I said again, there's 3 times, 4 times more people being killed in this region in Sudan than in Gaza. We've had a displacement far greater than that of Gaza. We've had a destruction of Khartoum that's far greater than that of Gaza. All of this, you go all the way down the line, and you see the same thing. You have all of this factor here that nobody discussed. It's even more, even the Muslim advocacy groups inside the United States who are screaming and hollering about the injustices only concentrate on Gaza. I ask you why, brothers and sisters. Why do you think that is? Why they ignore Sudan? They're supposed to be Muslims. Most of these organizations are run by the Arabs. They have token blacks here and there. They got 1, they got 2 here who are attorneys. They got some casual workers here and there, and they got so forth and so on. But I know one esteemed imam, I won't mention his name here. he talked against them, saying, because you don't take our cases. And you can imagine inside the United States, you're African American. You're already catching hell because you're African American. When you put the tag of Muslim, it even gets far worse. Many of these advocacy groups don't take their cases. They don't take their cases. See, and even I stopped to send them money because I see they have this prejudices. And when brothers get hung up overseas somewhere, they don't come to their aid. But when somebody is white or Arab, or even sometimes even Latino or something, they'll come to their aid. And so now they totally ignore Sudan. You'll see a caption here and there, but you don't see anything else going on with the advocacy groups inside the United States talking about Sudan. That's why I stopped to send my money to them. Oh, excuse me, we don't want that's something else. Our brothers are suffering tremendously there. They have a great, the Sahara runs through Sudan, that. And when I was in Sudan, I went further north into the Khartoum state, which is further north. And I went into the desert. I'll never forget this. And I told the story, I wanted to take a walk. I was with this one brother. He was American, and he had came to Sudan for many years. And I came to his compound and stayed with his family for a couple of days. And so I walked out to the desert like this, in the Sahara Desert. I start to walk out, just walking, beautiful sand. It was cool to the feet, even though it was very hot, but it was kind of cool. And I walked, and I felt like I was free. Suddenly, I saw this one brother walking towards me, and he's a Bedouin basically of the desert. And he came, he saw me, so he started to talk to me. I cannot speak the local dialect. I cannot speak it. So anyway, the brother who I went to his house, he came and he translated for me. And he kept trying to tell him, he said, look, man, he's from America. He said, what? He wouldn't believe me because he looked at me because I was wearing a, turban and everything else. He said, no, you ain't from America. And he started, you belong to these people over here. He seemed to know something. And he said, no, he belongs to these people over here to the east. I mean, it was funny. But anyway, I gave that story. So we have a tragedy, brothers and sisters. And also we have in the desert, which they don't actually wear the blue too much, but they do wear things on, they wear white, mainly in Sudan. Like I showed here, this brother, because they go by the sunnah of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, and they wear white. In the Sahara, in the desert, they wear white with a black like vest to go with that, with the ima, and of course the ima, the turban and whatnot and so forth. But they have Bedouins that are still in the desert today. They carry their swords and so forth and so on camels. And I told you about the Hawa people. They're ones, a lot are in jihad and so forth and so on. And these brothers are always in jihad and so forth and so on. Our Sudanese brothers are again struggling mightily, brothers and sisters, and there's no relief in sight, and we have to do something to quell this. Our brothers and sisters are being ravished. Nothing's being done. Only thing is happening is humanitarian. The women are pregnant, 7 months. They're taking them into Cairo, and they're having babies. This is the tragedy, brothers and sisters. It's just far greater. This brother here might have been killed. His baby might have been killed, and so forth. They take her. She's ravished in camps for months until she's pregnant, and then they cast her out. She has a baby in Egypt, and so forth and so on. I mean, the list goes on and on. Our brothers who are Fulani, mixed, what they call Fulani Arabs, as these are here, they have suffered greatly as well, because the government forces know, because of the argument again between the government forces and then the reactionary forces who are the RSF, who are Fulani based. So they know this family here is not quote unquote a real Sudanese Arab. So they're killed and she's ravished. And we have beautiful sisters. I told you in Sudan, I was there. We have beautiful, beautiful women in Sudan. I mean, beautiful, beautiful women in Sudan. And but again, you don't know who's from Habasha. You don't know who's Fulani and so forth and so on. It's a very, very, again, difficult situation, brothers and sisters, that we're discussing here today. And please give your prayers to for our brothers and sisters here. They're leaving to go into ancient Egypt. Saudi Arabia, with their humanitarian aid, gave boats, ferries to cross the Red Sea there into Saudi Arabia and whatnot, the Gulf of Aden, and then they took them into Saudi Arabia and gave them asylum. I don't know how long the asylum is going to last, but we have a lot of our brothers and sisters who made their way to Port Sudan, as I told you before, over to your right here. They walked from Khartoum and these regions here all the way across. So you can imagine across a desert. This is a tough trek. This is part of Sahara. They walked all the way to Port Sudan. They had the ships waiting for them there. The ships would take them over across the Red Sea into the Jazira Arab, and that's where they found safety and food and water and so forth and so on. So I gave you this backdrop because I wanted to talk somewhat about this issue, brothers and sisters, because I don't want you to lose sight of this. Yes, you pray for Gaza, and yes, you pay attention to Gaza, but you can't in your backyard, you turn to your right and you look over to the east. Your brothers is right around the corner there. Now you got the picture. You got to give them your dua. You got to, brothers and sisters. You're Muslims. And you're Africans on top. You're African Muslims. You got African brothers in Sudan who are suffering, and our sisters are suffering greatly now there. See, so don't put all your energy into Gaza. You put some of your energy, a lot of your energy, or half your energy into Sudan. When you make your dua at night or whatever situation may be, you pray for your brothers and sisters of Sudan because they're Africans. They're right around the corner from us. See? And just because the mainstream don't do it, and because the advocacy groups forget about them, you don't do that. Because if you say, well, hey, man, this is Sudan. Whoa, wait a minute. You got Fulani Arabs that are there who are dying. And I told you before in my class that if the RSF, who are Fulani Arabs, mixed people, if they take over Sudan, you're going to have something go on that's going to reach even the corridor. And I'm going to tell you right now, I can see it. I told you before about this. I can see a Fulani jihad again, rival that in the 17 and 1800s. I can see this because the RSF is made up of brothers mainly from Chad and mostly from northern Nigeria. And again, I told you they came from Usman Dan Fodio. They came from their families, and they went into we know as Sudan to fight jihad against the British and so forth, and the French forces and whatnot. See, and they also fought against the Turks. So we know that. If the RSF will start to listening to their brothers who are sitting in the Sahel, this is part of the Sahel, but this is the Western Sahel and the corridor region. If this is a collaboration between the RSF and the Fulani Mujahideen groups, you're going to have a hell of a situation there, brothers and sisters. Okay? I mean, a hell of a situation. And you're going to have a Fulani jihad that's going to be off this charts. So this is what I'm seeing. And we don't know what's going to happen. And we have, again, caravans leaving out. It is a tragedy, brothers and sisters. And our sisters are struggling mightily there. Okay? Struggling mightily. Please make your dua for them, brothers and sisters. I'm not saying, because nowadays, you know how there's so much fraud and whatnot about money, and all of us don't have money to send everywhere. And plus, you got to be careful, especially as an American, sending your money somewhere because you don't know, because you could be charged with terrorism charges and so forth and so on. But if you can't do anything, the least you can do is you make dua. It's a powerful tool. Subhanahu wa ta'ala listens to this. The Malaika registers your dua and so forth and so on as well. And please pray for our brothers and sisters there in Sudan region. This is a very difficult topic, brothers and sisters, to talk about. And those sitting in the United States, I know I've seen the last couple of weeks now, we've had African sisters in particular who have traveled to the United States and come back mesmerized, traumatized to a degree. One beautiful sister, and again, I'm going to use terms that I'm going to use the terms that we should be using, not the modern terms that were generated by others. Habasha is Ethiopia. Ethiopia, is coming from the Greek word Ethiop, meaning burnt of the skin. Habasha is the real name, modern, is better than Ethiopia. And Habasha and so forth and so on. We have we have the situation where we have our brothers and sisters going there. But what I was trying to say is this, brothers and sisters, that this region here is again at the turning point. It could explode at any minute. It can explode at any minute, brothers and sisters. It can. And I don't want to see this. I want to see peace. And I'm tired of the ethnic politics of Sudan. It's been going on too long. You have all black people right here. And according to who's running things and so forth and the loyalties, some are classified as black African and others are classified as Arab. Even though you look at these people here, you tell me who's Arab. You tell me who's Sudani here. You tell me who's Fulani or Shawa Arab. You cannot, because of the mixture. You cannot. But this craziness has been going on, and this is why we have all this fighting about who is real Arab when everybody's black. This is what makes this so funny. See? So again, brothers and sisters, I'm giving you something, food for thought, as an African man, as a Muslim and Fulani. I have relatives in Sudan. And my heart bleeds out for them because nobody talks about this tragedy that's happening there, brothers and sisters. Nobody. And we have to give it up for our brothers and sisters. I wanted to say this about the United States. I'm acquainted with one beautiful sister from Habasha. She travels everywhere. She has a station. Very, very, very beautiful. The girls from the East corridor, they're off the charts in beauty. And she traveled to the United States just recently here. She came back so confused because she was trying to figure out why in America the African Americans don't claim their African heritage. I talked about this a million times. You heard me talk about this issue. But today I'm talking about this, and I'm going to take it to them in America because these, are our brothers and sisters. They're black Africans, irrespective if they call themselves Arab or not. There in the United States, we have people who do not care about that. We even have a group they call themselves FBA, Foundational Black Americans. They deny the African heritage. So we have that dynamic inside the United States. I became aware of it a couple of weeks ago. There's a Brady sister who's involved with them, that I came acquainted with. But, we need everybody's assistance on this. And no one should turn their back on another black person, and especially in Africa, because we all suffer. Nobody is living good under the reigns of the Western powers today. We're all suffering because of it. And we got to always remember, brothers and sisters, that as long as there's these tragedies go on, black people will always be the brunt and carry the burden of it. And we have to realize that. And it's going to take black folk to give peace in our land. It's not going to be the Tubaab and Tubaab governments. They're not going to be able to do that because they're here to take our resources from us. See, and I'm going to give you something. I'm getting ready to close here, brothers and sisters. You see this beautiful caption here of the Sahara here in Maghreb, which is Morocco, as you call it in English. Sitting in this desert is vast water sources, brothers and sisters, because you know how big the Sahara is. It's massive. Okay, it's probably about 2.5 times bigger than the United States. Okay, they have been finding things in the Sahara for a long time. This is a valuable asset that can be used in the future, that can garner billions upon billions if the right African leaders take over. We can do this, and we can make even the Sahara green again. That our prophet alayhi said that it's going to happen. We're starting to see now Google Maps is starting to show that the Sahara is turning green in many spots. They're starting to have rainfall now. Here in Morocco, we've had since the Ramadan last, month ago, we've had in Ramadan, I think we only had 4 days without rain. And it's been raining ever since. And all of us, the brothers and sisters, Muslims, we've been praying because during winter months, we had nothing. At the end of the winter, when Ramadan, I prayed deeply that we would get a lot of rain. And we did get a lot of rain, and it's still raining. We had days here and there, 4 or 5 days, it stopped, and then rain come back again. The Sahara that you see in this caption here, it has many different resources that can garner billions. This is why the Western forces want the upheaval to continue, because they want to take over. And if we kill each other and we're so weak, they come in, they take our resources, and they will enslave us. I'm going to tell you that right now. They will institute a new slavery to make us work basically for them. And they take our resources and enslave us at the same time. And we already have that, because we have government officials now who are nothing more than slaves to them. They do their bidding for them. They snap their finger. They tell them, you go do this. They do it. Sudan today is being pushed mainly by other Muslim groups. Turkey's involved. You got UAE's involved. You got Egypt is involved. And then you have the Western powers. They're also involved. Everybody wants a piece of that region. Why? Because you have oil reserves in the Sudan. So everybody always wants to take from us. See? And we as African people don't know how to develop these resources to make us rich. But we have leaders to do it, but they can never come to power. Not at this time, because the Western powers will defeat them, and then the hypocrites who will stop them. So this is, again, brothers and sisters, a talk, unorthodox, yes, but important talk. Sudan is worth your prayer, brothers and sisters. And if you say you turn around and you want to use the ethnic card and say, look, you know what, man, they're, the Sudan people, hey, man, you cannot say that, because the person that you just see on TV or in a magazine or in YouTube most likely could be Fulani, because you do not know who's Fulani there and who's not. The mixture has been going on since the 1800s. You do not know who's Fulani anymore, except the recent arrivals of the Fulani and the Hausa. The Hausa, I forgot to mention, the Hausa are in great numbers as well. We have what we call the Fulani Hausa people. They're there as well in Sudan. And you can't pull up, we pulled a picture, you can't tell me who is what. You don't know. You cannot. And I'll show you a picture. Even though I already gave you the answer to this, but let me see if we can find them. Again, where are you at there? That beautiful family. I just showed him just a couple of minutes ago. I think this. No, it's not them. Yeah, okay. Now you look at this family, brothers, sisters, and you see this family here. You don't know if they're from Habasha or what. You do not know. See, so that's why I say you cannot say, well, this Sudan has nothing to do with the Fulani. That's not true. The Fulani history in Sudan is lengthy as well, because when the jihad came about with the time of the Mahdi, Muhammad Mahdi, when he had a sizable force of Hausa and Fulani in his Mujahideen group, and they stayed there. They left around 1818 when Usman Den Fodio passed on in 1817. Okay, he passed on. In 1818, we have many of the Fulani from northern Nigeria and Chad region. go into Sudan to fight jihad, to go in jihad. They've been there ever since. So this is why these families like this, who we know some of them, they call Shawa Arabs, but they actually are Fulani Arabs, because the Shawa Arabs we know are in northern Nigeria today. We know that, and those who live there, we know, you know the story about that. The question was asked of me the other day by somebody, and I'll touch it, and then I will have to go because I got to go pray. Somebody made a comment about, they said, well, I don't understand, and so it was senseless in some ways. They said, well, why you talk about Nigeria? You talk about them a lot, and I don't understand, why you do this. Well, let me give you something. The Fulani people are everywhere. Any person who claimed to be from the Fulbe community, and they come up with some silly stuff by saying that their brother who's sitting in Kano or Borno or in Kaduna are not Fulani, or not real Fulani. Don't, that type of talk, brothers and sisters, it is absolutely silly, okay? I don't believe that's a Fulani person, because the reciprocity in the Sahel region has been going on. Nobody, when jihad is called, nobody says, this people over here sitting there over here in Sudan are not Fulani. No. But me personally, why? Because when my DNA, the deep analysis came, I learned now my mother's relatives were Nigerian Fulani. That's their home base. They left from that region, go across to Guinea, and Guinea up north into Mali, and then into Al-Maghrib. My mom's side, Fulani side. So that's why I have my kinship, and I know if I did DNA, and a lot of my brothers in northern Nigeria did DNA, I would find many of my relatives there in northern Nigeria, in Kaduna, in the plateau. I mean, all regions there. I would have many relatives, because my family came from northern Nigeria and they were Fulani. So I know that I would have my relatives there. So now I do not know which ones are my relatives, but all of them, they're my brothers because they're Fulani. Okay, bottom line. So I wanted to get that out because there was a question about that, and somebody was wanting to say, here we go. Let me see, we've got yes, they're that, and they also in northern Nigeria. We know they also have Hausa mixed in with them as well, my dear brother. This is true. Thank you for this fact. We know that they have this mixture, and so forth and so on. So this is why, again, it's an issue that's complex. You cannot say, oh, this person here is from Habasha, which Ethiopia. This person here is not Fulani. Then you go to find out this person is Fulani, but they consider themselves Arabs. They're Fulani Arabs. Then you have the Shawa Arabs and so forth and so on. But the Shawa Arabs who are there in the northern part of Sudan to the western part are actually Fulani based, but the Fulani are not considered themselves Fulani anymore. They're now called Arabs. You see how difficult it is, brothers and sisters, but they're Fulani, but now they consider themselves Arabs. This is how complex this issue. But needless to say, the government forces, they have a consensus. They know the people from the west and from some parts of the east and from the north. They know their daddy is Fulani. They know their daddy may be something else or Hausa. So they know, because they say, what is your village? Oh, it's so and so, so and so. Or they say, oh, so we know that you are descendant from the Mujahideen who came from Nigeria, who were Hausa and Fulani, mainly Fulani. So they discriminate. It's crazy, brothers and sisters. It's crazy how this issue is being played out. It's crazy. And again, because of ethnic loyalties, we have people who can't marry the others, and we all are black. This is what makes us today. If I'm standing there, I'm saying, if I'm in Sudan, they'll be questioning me about my name. They say, we know you from the East, okay, by your name Shabaka. We know this. So you're from the East. They will start to eliminate all the people. So say I come there. I'm a young man. Say, for instance, I come there. I'm looking for a wife. They'll eliminate me from all these people. Maybe the families of the government forces, I will not be able to marry their daughters because why? I have Fulani heritage. It's crazy. You see what I mean, brothers and sisters? This is what is happening in Sudan because everybody went away from the Sharia law. The devil has stepped in, and now we have all of this craziness and we have all this killing. And brothers and sisters, it is atrocious. So please give your dua. If there's any other questions or something, please give it to me. Let me know, because I'm gonna close here because this is an unorthodox talk, and I just caught everybody off guard. I didn't give a lot of notice about this, but I wanted to discuss Sudan because it does have we have a history. The Fulani people have a history in Sudan, and we should know that. And again, brothers and sisters, the importance of this, again, the ancient names of Sudan. Okay, you know Sudan, I told you, is Arabic. Okay, we know it means black. We understand that. Bilad as Sudan means the land of black people. We know our famous Fulani scholars took the last name Mini Sudani, meaning the black man. Ahmed Baba Sudani Fulani. He was Fulani. We know, but he took the title to give you the designation because he's from the Sahel, he's from Mali, and he wanted to tell you, and he wanted to tell future descendants and black people who he was. Because now there's no whitening of his skin. We have by many historians, Tubab historians, who have painted, even now, I saw something where they painted Askia Muhammad as white. They even made Mansa Musa by claiming he was even now European. He's a Tubab. See, you understand? So now if you see a picture of Ahmed Baba, the most famous of the scholars there in Timbuktu, if they point him white, now you know something's wrong because they can't tell. You ask them, and they say, wait a minute. You say he's a Tubab? But his name is Ahmed Baba Sudani, which is black. And then he says Al-Fulani. The Fulani people are not Europeans. They're not Tubab. So these names here, brothers and sisters, are the ancient names of this region. Please memorize these names. Please put them in your memory banks and say them and pronounce these names, because this is the ancient names that our ancestors who were living there before we came to West Africa, this is what we know this region to be. Tasseti, Kasha, and Tasha. This is the names came off our ancestors' tongues when they described this region. It was not known as Sudan as we know today. They knew this as Tasseti, Kasha, and Tasha. This is the names that they knew. And that's important for you to know that. You should understand the tongue that was used, the linguistics that was used by our ancient ancestors and what they described this regions and so forth and so on. See, because it's very important, brothers and sisters. I love these names. I like to hear the names of the lands that before the colonialization came about and they changed everything around. I like these ancient names like Tasseti and Kasha and Tasha and, Tameri for Egypt, ancient Egypt, all this type of thing. I love those names. They're beautiful names that they had, and so forth and so on. And I try to tie in the terms when they had Tasseti and Kasha and Tasha. I try to figure out the names that I know that came from this region of Tasseti, Sudan, and I'm right. We know this name, which many of our people today still carry this name. They still carry this name, Sao. We know that Sao is the name of the people that they went into the north. We know that, and they came back to the south when they begin to get away from the European expansion into ancient Kemt, and the Sao people then left out from Tasseti, which is the Sudan region, and started going to West Africa. But they went to the north as well. They were known as the Sao people. There was no such thing as Fulani at that time. Fula or Fulbe, none of those names existed. We know Sao did exist. We know that the ethnic groups carried this name today, Sao, and we have, Isato Sao, beautiful sister that I know on Facebook. We have others with this last name of Sao. Also, we know that came from Tasseti. We know the name Ka was also involved in this, which was our brothers and sisters was very, very religious. We know that, and they okay, now where this is, I don't know, I can't get this name up there. I don't know what this is blocked off. Oh, got me. Okay, yeah. Uh, we know Ka. We have many of our Fulani brothers with this name Ka. We have people in Sudan still have the name Ka. Part of my name, you have Shaba Ka. And I gave you the instance by what the Ka actually means. This is the Fulani people when they were in ancient Kemt and Taseti, they were very religious, and they adopted Ka as at the time before when they came to the West. Then of course they left the Ka, the religion of Ka, which is Tawhid. They left that and they began to develop other religious faculties and so forth and so on and whatnot. But those are some of the names. Ka, Shah, Ba also is a name which we find as well. And so we have all of that. And what is this here? New stream. Look into check out. Oh, you really? Well, oh, okay. Well, yeah. And we got yes. Where we got here? Let me get this out here. Boy, this okay. Let me thank you, my dear brother. I think yeah, and Ba. Yes, all those names came out from Kemt, which is ancient Egypt again. Tamari is another name, but they're also the names that we see Jalo, Ba, there's Diallo. All these names came out from Tasseti. All that, and they went to the north through the Sahara. It was green at the time, and then they came down to west. We know West African to the Savannah region and so forth. They, again, they still carry these names that they had back in ancient times. Very, very, very interesting. Today, we still have people in Sudan now still carry the name Jalo, Diallo, and Ba and Ka. They still have this, and Sao. They still have those names. All those names came from Tasseti, Kasha, and Tasha, which we understand today is the Sudan, and Kush, the ancient Kush, as everybody like to call it. But I prefer to call it Tasseti or Kasha or Tasha. This is what I prefer to call this region again, because this is what our ancient ancestors known it as. But it's very, very, very fascinating, brothers and sisters, about this history and so forth and so on. And if there's any more questions here, if not, I'm gonna have to close here and whatnot. My brothers and sisters, anyone have not subscribed, please subscribe to my station. Pass my message on. You can check me out in Facebook. Also, let me put. I'm there. You can find me here. In Facebook under my name as well. And so don't, you can find me there and join there if you want. If there's anything that you guys want to write to me, I've given out my my email before as well, and you can check me out if you want to send me something. And I got people occasionally write me and whatnot. And if you have something that you want to get off your chest, you want to discuss something, no problem. And you can reach me here, and I'll answer you as soon as I have the chance to get to. Oh, no! Now where is it? Where is it at here? Come on now. Okay, there it is. There, you can. This is my information. There, you can write me, and send me something if you want to discuss something, or you have something that you want to add. I'll take any questions and whatnot as long as you're respectful. Please remember that, and so forth and so on. And so, my brothers and sisters, I think I will end it here because I think this is about the last of. I have nobody else entered the chat, and there's no more questions. So please subscribe, brothers and sisters. This talk was unorthodox, of course, as usual, and it was a spur of the moment, but I wanted to get it out because Sudan was on my mind a lot, and what's happening in Sudan is a tragedy. So with that said, I will stop here, my brothers and sisters. Until the next time, Salaam alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Anjurama as-salam.